Good morning, my name's Graham Herbert, 62 years of age, just gone. Just to explain a little bit about myself. Started off life as a graphic designer. Well, initially it was a draftsman. Spent a year, 18 months as a draftsman for a roofing company, and always loved technical drawing. Wasn't brilliant at maths, but managed to get a position at the ripe age of 16 in a drawing office as a trainee. And I got really excited, did some wonderful plans and stuff, as you do. One of my jobs was to clean the Ozlid print machine at the end of the office. Got on really well for the first year. Struggled with the mathematical content at Tech College. Was never good at trigonometry, but I could always visualize what should happen with a plan, but not so good at putting the maths together. Anyway, I soon found out that a lot of our drawings and plans weren't really as useful as I thought. This is weird because it leads into so many parts of life further down the road, but essentially what happened was I produced a brilliant, what I thought was a brilliant set of plans. I was then told to go to a company in Oxford that was building this building, and I got on site. I showed the guys my plans, the contractors, and they took one look at them, and in a strong Irish accent the guy said, "This is what we do with your plans, Graham." He chucked them in the fire and he said, "We don't need your plans. We know what the job is, what the span is, what the lengths are, what the purlin sizes are. All the technical stuff we know. Your plans are just kind of something that we have to have on file." So after 2 weeks I went back to the office and I said to my boss, they don't use our plans. Very naive. And he said, "No, well, look, Graham, don't worry about that." He said, they're a legal obligation. We need those plans. They're signed off. They're certified. They go on record. They go on file. And I just thought to myself, so effectively then we're just crossing the T's and dotting the I's. And it's for no other reason than that. And it got me thinking, what else in life is kind of going down a bit of a cul-de-sac? What else are we taught that maybe isn't as clear or as crystal clear as we think, cut and dried? I remember as a kid I was being told, respect your elders, don't speak until you're spoken to. Short conversations around, who do you think you are? No, you can't do that. You can do this. It was very much an age when your parents could only go as far as they were taught, and they were taught very, very completely, thoroughly, that we all had our place, and you didn't get out of place. Otherwise, consequences could be a little bit dire for you. Moving on throughout life, I've seen many periods of change in both business and personal circumstances. I've been relatively wealthy. I've been completely broke. I've always sought to accumulate wealth and money. The problem with that is that there's got to be fundamental reasons why you need that wealth, and unless you're or unless you've gone through the educational system, Oxford and Cambridge, and you have a clear pathway that the family has led to success, you can trip up and you can find yourself, drifting somewhat. Now, this has been the case for me, but I've reached a stage now in my life where I just know that money, or the attainment of money for its own purposes, it's not my bag anyway. And the reason is a lot of it can cause a lot of fear, doubt, uncertainty, and also push you in directions maybe that you don't feel comfortable in, or that you're not quite good at. I mean, I was great as graphic designer, but put me on a factory floor, not quite as good. Felt out of place. But the whole shift in digital design back in the 80s was that, I could see the Mac, and I would tell my bosses, look, this is something we've got to look at, and they would calmly, Graham, don't worry, you worry too much. The Mac it's just something for the typist to do a few invitations with. It's never gonna get off the ground. They're not as clever as we are, and it'll never do the things we can do. Well, sorry guys, we're now 30 years into it, and look where that's got you. Most design, most print, all digital. Most of it outsourced, unless you're in a big top 10. And the whole industry was collapsed overnight. Literally going from making box sets for Cindy, G.I. Joe, working as a contractor for Hasbro, Hasbro Games, I think it's MB Games, but a lot of skill, a lot of passion lost almost overnight, and the remorse was that I didn't get on board with the Mac. I pondered, I struggled, I continued to become freelancer for people that were still using people on boards, and eventually it dried up and I got resentful. But I did move into photo artistry for a brief period, digital artistry, and found that to be fascinating. I can put a website together, not the best, but I can put a website together. I put this one together, Mortgage Reclaim. We'll go on to that a little bit, but basically, I have lived a very full life. I've been, like I say, reasonably wealthy, completely skint. But what I do now is I don't do things for the money. I do it for the satisfaction, the reward of putting somebody else on the right path. Now there is a much bigger story in the background there, and it is mortgage mis-selling, claims compensation. It's a situation where you may not already know, but most mortgages have been securitized. This effectively means that the rights to the interest paid on your mortgage have been sold to somebody else. Now, it's groundbreaking, it is revolutionary. It hasn't started as yet officially. I think 2 weeks time and we'll be up and running. We're able to take cases like 10 years or older, borrowed 100k or more, 2 years left to run with no arrears. If that is your criteria, there is every possibility that once finding out whether your mortgage has been securitized, and again it's without your knowledge, you may be able to claim all of the interest paid from the point of sale. So let's be quite clear, that's all of the interest paid at the point that that mortgage was securitized, because the problem with it was that nobody told you they were securitizing your mortgage. It didn't really need to, but certainly from the point of payment you need to know who's receiving the funds of your paid up mortgage. Because let's get it straight, if your mortgage has been paid, somebody has purchased that mortgage from you without your knowledge, but you're still paying the mortgage, who are you paying the mortgage to? And don't give me that old nonsense about it doesn't matter, I'm not interested. You wouldn't do it with a car. You wouldn't go to a car dealer, get your V5 and walk away and then allow somebody else to come and take it from you and say, well, I'm not really bothered, as long as I'm driving the car I'm okay. As long as you're in the house you're okay. But don't get me started about it doesn't matter, because it does. And that's one of the things that, moving on, you've got to start taking responsibility for things like your documentation, the small print. You were not aware that when your solicitor said to you on the date of signing for your mortgage, leave the date blank, we'll do that later, that was not a good thing, because that's allowed this problem to accumulate, and you're now looking at the potential of, who owns your mortgage. You don't know. I can't tell you. We've got a system that can find out. But what if I said that not only would that interest payment coming back to you relieve you financially, you wouldn't need to go to one of these I call them crooks, shafters, call them what you like, Lovely Alan from the Old Age Partnership, who'll come along and set you up with a lifetime mortgage. So number one, you've paid a mortgage. Number two, you've probably been paying it to the wrong people. Number three, Alan's going to come along and give you some equity release. So you've now got a lifetime mortgage, and you pay it when you die. So possibly your kids don't get an inheritance. The state decides to put its hands in your pockets once again. No, this is nonsense. This shouldn't be happening. Go tell Alan to screw himself. You don't need his equity release plan. You don't need any of that. You just need to get wise. But listen, you may not want to get wise. You might want to carry on doing what you're doing. Beer in one hand, Sky Remote in the next, and catching yourselves at half time looking at Sky Bet or whatever it is you do. And I'm being mindful about what I'm saying, but I'm also letting you know that I'm angry. I'm sick and tired of people being ripped off. So yes, I can help. Yes, I will help. But you've also got to help yourselves. This isn't going to be a mass marketing program. This will be very limited. But you've got to wise up. If I told you on the day that you bought your mortgage that actually 2 weeks later, potentially, it's been sold to somebody else, you'd have wanted to know about it. But problem is, you get comfortable, you get relaxed, you get a little bit lazy. That happens to all of us. But don't let this go unnoticed. Don't let it go unchecked. It's your money. It's your right. And if you don't claim it, well, again, that's your choice. But anyway, going back onto what I'm basically babbling on about, it's looking at life's experiences. It's trying to start to communicate with people rather than Faceache, Twitter, and Instacrap. I mean, all those platforms, wonderful, marvellous, but I've never had one decent conversation out of any of them. We've lost the art of communication, which is to be able to speak, to pick up a phone, to write a letter even. But we've got so much communication, but we don't communicate. But that's great, Situation is the media controls what we say, think and do, and most people are quite happy with that. So again, if you're happy with that, crack on. It's not an issue. I just think it's very limited, and your voice is important. It's important to me. You might not think that that's a valid comment at this stage because you don't know me. Well, I don't know you, but bottom line is, you can always pick up the phone. You can always respond to this video. I'm here. I am a live person. I'm more than happy to talk about mortgages, the Great Awakening, the Great Reset, cryptocurrency, divorce, life, anything you want. I've got a lot of life experience, and I've also got an opinion. And I think it's good that we've all got opinions, and mine is no more valid than yours. So if you've got an issue, a problem, or something you want to discuss, pick up the phone, send a response, and I'm not monetizing this content. There is a part of this program that is monetized, but I'm not doing it for the money. I'm not doing it for your money. I'm doing it to redress the balance. Believe that if you want. If you don't, not a problem. We can part as friends. It doesn't matter. All I want to do is make sure that people aren't continually being ripped off. that's it for today. Probably come back with something else tomorrow. But do make a comment, like, subscribe. You never know, we might end up talking on phone. Speak to you later. Bye.